All right, what's going on, everybody? We're gonna read some Shonen Jump today. Pretty casual stream. Not gonna be too structured. Excuse me, not gonna be too structured. Probably just gonna be a combination of me reading manga and then everyone kind of, you know, shooting their hot takes. So yeah, let's get started. I do have to say, excuse me. I'm a bit behind, so I might seem like I'm out of the loop. I definitely want to talk about. I want to talk about everything, but I think we'll probably start with Ichi the Witch, because that's the one I'm most excited to catch up to. Yeah, I'm like 10 weeks behind. We have Arjun Gowda. Hi, which is your favorite manga in Shonen Jump currently? I would probably say out of the currently running stuff, so the stuff that's actually in the magazine, not including Jump Plus, probably Ichi the Witch. Kagurabachi is fun. I just don't feel as emotionally invested in it. Witch Watch is good. I suspect it might be Akane Banashi if I was caught up on Akane Banashi. I'm very behind on Akane Banashi. Kyoshi is good, but the last arc was so-so. We got Eden's, Eden's in chat. What's going on, Eden's? We got Izzy. Akane Banashi will be saved because of anime. Yeah, I think the anime will be really good. Did we find out who the studio is for Akane Banashi? Akane Banashi. Studio Zex. I am saying that right. Zex with a Z. Zeta. They seem like more of an obscure studio. Yeah, they don't seem to be terrifically big. Akane is the peak of Jump right now. That's what I've been seeing people saying. It's ironic because I was always pushing that agenda, and then it was like right when I stopped after the time skip, everyone started saying like weekly, back to back, consistently, this is the best thing in Jump, artistically and story-wise. So Studio Zex is actually the studio that will be doing Fujimoto's 17 through 26, which is the collection of one-shots. That comes out... Oh no, it already came out. It came out October 5th. Where can you watch that? Oh, so it's one of the studios. I wonder if it's a different studio for each episode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, so they probably do a couple of the episodes. I'd have to look into that. Huh. Is that available to watch? I don't even think you can watch it yet. Oh, where did I say? Oh, previewed October 5th. It airs in November, so not even Not even close. We still have like another month. Well, that'll be the anime to watch then. There's a bunch of other studios doing it, but specifically Studio Zex is the one to look out for Akane Banashi, which we don't have a date for, I don't think. No, I think they just said 2026, but we don't have a date. It's on Prime. Yeah, I know it's gonna be on Prime, but it hasn't officially released yet. Himatan probably trending because of the potential man memes on top of it being a crazy chapter. For which manga? Oh, Gachi Akata. All right, thank you, Justin. I don't know if you saw on Tuesday the latest Gachi Akata chapter was trending. No, I didn't see that at all. What happened? I'm like a couple chapters behind on Gachi Akata. Maybe we'll read that. We got Josh. What's going on, Josh? It's been a hot minute. How you doing? Glad to have you back. By the way, Marvel Rivals, Sonic 3, and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds are now Golden Joysticks Awards nominations, and you can vote. What do you mean Sonic 3? Sonic is up for 2 awards. Are you talking about the movie? Yeah, the movie. Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't realize they did that. Mao manga adaptation 2026? I haven't heard about that. When was that announced? I really don't see anyone talk about Mao. Like, even when Yashahime was coming out, because that manga, I think that manga started during, was either towards the end of the second core or was like right after the second core of Yashahime ended. But even my friend Axel Beats, who was like kind of the Yashahime Inuyasha guy at the time, he was like, yeah, it's cool, but you know, it's whatever. That being said, it's, you know, it's stuck around. People are buying it, so that'll be exciting. We got the Undead Unluck Winter Special, probably December. That'll be good. I hope. I might talk shit for Dave Pro lately, but only because I think they're not living up to their potential. The thing with Dave Pro is animation per se, like specifically animation, has never been their strength. It's been one tool in their toolbox, but really what Dave Pro, what has always helped their anime stand out is the symphony of highlights, right? So the animation was good, but it was aided by a phenomenal soundtrack in all of their anime, phenomenal sound design, good character designs, right? Other stuff like that. So like certain studios, like they're known for like one thing or like one particular style, whereas Dave Pro, like they had a very distinct personality that you could notice in all of their anime, even between like you could watch JoJo's and watch Fire Force, which are like two totally different anime. But if you watch the animes specifically as opposed to reading the manga, you could watch those anime and be like, oh yeah, I could tell this is the same studio. Like this feels, you know, like they've got the same quirks to them. Demon's author getting its anime next year. Oh yeah, that's true. We got a teaser for that. I don't think we got an official trailer yet. That'll be hype. I think that'll be huge because what's the author's name? Arakawa. Arakawa is huge, right? Very good art style, great stories. Speaking of which, if you haven't read, I always push this because it's a lesser known series. If you have not read, of course now I'm going to blank on the name. Oh crap, what the hell is it called? This is gonna kill me now. Nope, that's not it. Damn it. What the hell is it called? This is gonna kill me that I can't think of the name of this manga. Anybody in chat, what is the name of the manga that Arakawa draws, but they don't write the story for? Like it's an adaptation. Oh, here we go. Never mind, I got it. The Heroic Legend of Arslan. If you're looking for a really good manga that's like different, that has Arakawa's style, phenomenal art, is not written by them, but it feels like a story they could have written, and has all the personality of something like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, but is in sort of a niche setting of I guess ancient Iran as opposed to like either Japan or the West. If you want something in that neighborhood of reading material, I cannot recommend The Heroic Legend of Arslan enough. That manga is awesome. I think we're still waiting for the last few volumes, and unfortunately I do think it's going to end in the middle of what is the actual story that it's adapting, just because it's been going on for like, I think like 5 years now, but it's really good. The fact that Kill Blue got an anime and we're still waiting on a Kagurabachi anime is crazy to me. Like Kill Blue getting an anime is like, bro, Shueisha, what are we doing? Like I'm sure people in Japan will watch that, but I'm like, come on, bro, what are we doing? If I could be in charge of Shueisha for one day, the things I would do. Steel Ball Run may have 3 cores. Yeah, I feel like that's probably in the ballpark of what they'll do, because isn't that what they did with isn't that what they did with Stone Ocean? They did it in 3 parts, or am I crazy? JC Staff worse than Kyoto Animation. I don't know about those studios, but JC Staff makes like mid anime. Like they just make anime that is good enough that you can watch it, but bad enough that you don't really like it. It's like so crazy. Like you can't really say it's bad, because there are bad anime, and like what I've watched of JC Staff, I hesitate to call it bad, but I also would not be the first person to rush to call it good. That is not the word I would describe to call their anime. Their anime are lazy, and in that sense you can argue they're bad, because like anything in any realm of endeavor should not be lazy. and therefore you can say it's bad, but it's like there's bad and then there's like it's all right. C plus. Scarred Hero says, I think the issue with Kill Blue and Chojo's anime are Shueisha investing too much into KB, which was truly a flop, and not investing enough into Chojo and canceling it when there's clear demand for it. Yeah, man. I think Shueisha has a very weird policy in the last like 2 or 3 years when it comes to adapting manga, where like before they were like in a huge rush to convert manga into anime. I think what they're doing now is they're waiting until the autumn of a manga's life for a couple of reasons. One, because then like you don't have the pacing thing like with so many long running series, because you have all this time in between. And the other thing is I think they wait until the very very end of the lifespan of a manga, like just before it starts to round out, and then that's when they drop an anime to like really extend the shelf life of volumes they can sell. I think that's why they do that, but it's like totally weird to me. Do I think Kagurabachi is better than Gachi Akata? No, I would say it's the other way around. Personally, I think Gachi Akata is better. I like the characters more. I like the art more. I like the story more. Definitely does a better job of world building. I think you probably would like Kagurabachi more if fights are more important to you. Because you know what's crazy? And I'm going to talk about this in a later video. But you know what's crazy for anyone who reads Gachi Akata? As something that is marketed and is structured like a classic battle shonen, there is a surprising lack of fights. Like for anyone who reads Gachi Akata, think of all the fights, like fights, not like a clash that starts and ends in like 2 chapters, but I mean like fights. Think of all the fights that actually take place in that series, especially considering it's got one of the most, I hesitate to call it in-depth because it's not as nuanced as like JoJo or Hunter x Hunter, but like for a series that places so much emphasis on its power system, it has a shocking lack of fights when you really pay attention to it. Gachi Akata has weird pacing. It's a good story, but strange pace. It's exactly paced like Fire Force. It's very slow in the beginning, and then once you get past like chapter 40 or chapter 50, boom, picks up. It's one of those series, you got to give it a chance in the beginning, and you got to read it like 2 or 3 times, and I will die on that hill, because that's exactly what I did. Read it the first time, I was like, it's okay. Came back to it like a year later, and I was like, oh, wow, this is actually dramatically better than I thought it was. Gachi Akata, first thing I hear when I join, already peak. I mean, I love it. One of these days, I need to get somebody in here. I need to get like a diehard Gachi Akata fan. Get them in here and have the Dawn to Dawn versus Gachi Akata debate. Because I really do think among like mainstream manga, among currently running mainstream manga, I think those are the 2 definitive like #1 contenders. Frieren, it's good. It's not as good as it used to be. It's still good. I would maybe throw Shangri-La Frontier in the conversation, but I'm not up to date on it. And even then, I think it would be more in like top 10 or top 20. One Piece you could also do, but One Piece is kind of... One Piece is only good for people who actually follow One Piece. And I say that in a different way from something like One Punch Man, where like One Punch Man is literally only for people who like One Punch Man. Like it's doing nothing for casual fans at this point. One Piece, you could at least say like, oh, look at all this stuff they're doing in the new chapters. There's Viking stuff and then there's all this backstory, right? But really at this point, it's just for One Piece fans. Whereas like Dawn to Dawn and Gachi Akata, like it is still a story that like brand new fans can get into. Gachi and Kagurabachi are different stories with different strengths. Yeah, that's true. That's why I said, I think if you like fights and action more, you probably like Kagurabachi more. Is Gachi Akata underhyped? I would say so. I never see it in top 1 conversations for manga. Unless you're in like a circle of Gachi Akata fans. And I also think not a lot of people are talking about the fact that it's like consistently been the #1 anime on Crunchyroll for what, like a month now? Close to a month? If we go to popular. Yeah, it went from like top 30 to like #1 in the span of like a month. It slowly inched its way up after the first few episodes, and then after like I'd say like a few weeks after the first core finished is when it like shot up to #1, which is exactly what I said was going to happen. I thought it was going to be like My Hero, where, you know, it got views, but it wasn't really going to get popular until the end of that first core. And that's exactly what happened. It didn't blow up like My Hero did after All Might versus Nomu, but at least numbers wise, Gachi Akata has achieved a similar launch into success. Excuse me. Dawn to Dawn versus Gachi Akata. I used to hear this beef. Now I don't. I just think... I think the difference is they're both not brand new anymore, so they're not like presently on everyone's mind. And I think the other thing is Gachi Akata really only has... Gachi Akata is still finishing its first season, and it didn't see nearly as much as mainstream success compared to Dawn to Dawn, which was pretty much like an overnight success after the first episode, and has only gotten more popular. So I feel like if we're summing it up in terms of mainstream popularity, there's no contest. But when we're talking about the merits of the story, the writing, and the art, that's where there's a real conversation to be had. Rio is so dope. I can't wait to see her fight animated, which I think is coming up soon. I'm very behind on the anime, but I'll be looking forward to that fight for sure. Mocked of El Dorado is arguably one of the best new gen villains. I think he's a really interesting character. I don't think he's like a top villain. I think he's a really interesting character to read about and think about, I don't think he's like a top 10 or top 20 villain. I don't think so. It's been a few months since I read that arc, so I can't really say more to that, but that's how I feel about that. Fire Force Final Core comes out January 9th. They showed it at New York Comic Con. Is it the Final Core? Is it not split up into 3 parts? Oh no, that's Dr. Stone. Fire Force has one more core. Which is kind of crazy to think about because it feels like there should be a lot more to animate. Am I crazy for saying that? Am I right? Is there only one more core? Or am I crazy? Speaking of new authors, I had this conversation with friends. Led to a question of the new artists are not as nuanced or experienced in life to make compelling characters or villains. I don't think that's true at all. Look at Don Don, look at Kagurabachi, Gachi Akata, Ichi the Witch. I don't think that's true at all. No, you're not crazy. People were worried about the season. Hearing everything left would be wrapped up in 2 cores. I think it made more sense before the first core, but seeing where the first core ended, now I'm like, pacing, right? Like, Galaxius has good villains. It's got cool characters. I don't know about good villains. Like, Antares, she's a cool character. As like a villain, she's alright. Excuse me. That being said, for Fire Force, I think they can do it. I just don't think it's going to be the ideal rate of pacing. There's like 80 more chapters, so what's 80 divided by 12? 80 divided by... How many episodes? Oh, I can just look it up. I don't know why I'm asking you guys. Fire Force. Season 3? Yeah. Season 3. Oh, that's true. They actually ended a little bit later than I had remembered. I thought they ended like right at the end of the fight against like Dragon and those guys, but it ends a little bit later, so that kind of makes sense. But what's 80 divided by 12? Yeah, that's crazy. So that, if obviously it's not going to be constant, but if it were at a constant rate, that would mean they would be adapting 6 to 7 chapters an episode, which is like triple the usual rate. Most anime adapt like 2 or 3 chapters an episode. 2 to 4, right? 4 being like really fast. So granted, there's a lot of fights, but still, that's crazy. 6 to 7, 6 to 8, really? Or like 5 to 8? That's crazy. I think it's gonna fly. We'll see. What series in Jump am I caught up on? None of them, because I haven't read Jump in like 10 weeks, so yeah. But other than like Dawn to Dawn, but that's Jump Plus, and Chainsaw Man. I passed some comments regarding Berserk. What did you say about Berserk? You're gonna have Yeah, if you have a question about Berserk, drop it again because I missed it. Speaking of which, if you don't want me to miss your comment, then make sure to drop a super chat and I'll make sure to answer it right away. Hey OG, do you think it's weird that Super Psychic Policeman Shoujo is getting an anime even though it was canceled? I said this before. I think it's super weird. I think it's really, really weird. They have like the weirdest adaptation policy regime right now. I mean, what does it have for chapters? The one thing they did right in terms of like niche anime picks is Marriage Toxin. Marriage Toxin is decently popular for a Jump Plus series, but it's not that big, not even close. And the fact that they gave it to Bones, who is probably, it's probably going to look more like Mob Psycho than like My Hero Academia, hopefully. You know, that's a bit of copium, but we'll see. Yeah, it's got 65 chapters, which technically, to play devil's advocate, is actually the perfect length to adapt in like one season, maybe two, depending on how they structure it. But I mean, yeah, like for a series that doesn't even have, get the whole series, one volume, volume 1. For a series that's not even out in English yet, as far as physical volumes, that's crazy. Or even digital, you can't even buy the digital volume. That's crazy. JoJo has 66 chapters. I see 65 on Jump, on Viz. Did you look at Gwyn Saga? That novel inspired Miura to create Berserk, and there's a 2009 anime for it. Yeah, I think you mentioned that last time. Oh, that looks dope. Best-selling heroic fantasy novel series by Kaoru Kurimoto. That looks dope. Let me see. There is an anime for it. There's a light novel. That looks really cool. Started 79. Yeah, so that would have predated that would have predated Berserk. You know which series I need to check out is now that we're on the topic, is Bastard. Not necessarily the anime, but just in general. That series seems like it's right up my alley. Jormungand has about 70 chapters and covered 24 episodes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Tekken King? Yeah, literally. That's where my brain went. That's so funny. How are we doing on time? We got like a half hour in. Yeah, we're all right. All right. Keep asking questions. We keep dropping hot takes. But I'm going to start catching up to Ichi the Witch. So we're on chapter 44, right? I stopped like right before the meme chapter of Kumigi's sister when she said, what did she say? She would like, yeah, would, right? Let me actually read the previous chapter, chapter 43. So they introduce Gokuraku to the, I forget what it's called, but it's like the Witches Association, basically. Yeah, Witches Association. Okay, would. Yeah. That's hilarious. I think when this series eventually gets an anime, because it's definitely going to get an anime. And this series is going to be what people were expecting Witch Hat Atelier to be, which is already showing signs that it's not going to be. I say this with the most sincere intentions. I say this in good faith, excuse me. I say this in good faith. I sincerely hope that all of my estimates of the Witch Hat Atelier anime are completely wrong, because on its merits right now, the Witch Hat Atelier anime already seems like it's doomed to fail. And here's what this is a quick rant, because I want to get back to Ichi the Witch. So it's being handled by Studio Bugs Films, right? Or Studio Bugs. They did Zom 100, which obviously there were forces outside of their control, but that anime, for whatever reason, was not handled well and fell into obscurity like that. And I don't even think, did they announce a season 2, right? Yeah, there's no official news for a Zom 100 season 2. So it's very up in the air for a series that was like pretty popular. So I mean, if that's how they handled Zom 100, then I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with Witch Hat Atelier. And they're already showing signs like that's gonna happen again. They've delayed the anime. They've shown surprisingly little in the trailers. Like, there's been clips, but like they haven't really shown that much at all in the trailers. So yeah, I don't think the Witch Hat Atelier anime is gonna live up to expectations, considering fans of the series are gonna have very high expectations given how good story-wise and art-wise the manga is. I would actually place Witch Hat Atelier in that like best ongoing manga series. That Radiant also belongs in that conversation. The reason I always forget about Radiant is because it's not on a regular schedule, so I don't register it as like an ongoing series. And then when I think about it, I'm like, oh no, I think it's just as good, if not better, than like Dawn to Dawn, Gachi Akata. It's definitely in that conversation. Isn't it on hiatus? Witch Hat? No, get out of here. Or are we talking about Zom 100? Witch Hat Atelier manga hiatus? What are we talking about? Are you talking about Zom 100? Probably dead. I thought they had actually finished season 1. I didn't realize they never finished it. Is indefinitely on hiatus. That was in September 2023, so like 2 years ago now. That's crazy. But it's all the more my point. Like, if that's gonna be how they handle Witch Hat Atelier, I'm not getting my hopes up. So I say all that to say, I think Ichi the Witch is gonna pick up the mantle of what people are looking for in Witch Hat Atelier. So I have all the highest expectations. So back to what I was saying. when this series gets an anime, which it's going to at some point, the OK wood scene, I think, is going to be instantly viral for sure. Thoughts on Hassan Piker using a shock collar on his dog Kaya? I don't really follow that guy. I don't know what his deal is. He just every clip I see of that guy, he always just seems overly dramatic and pissed off. Knowing very little about that incident besides what I've seen in short clips, that guy seems like a dick. Shock collars, I'm not against shock collars. I don't have personal experience with them, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with shock collars. The thing about shock collars with dogs is you have to know how to use them. Like, you can't just use it like, you know, willy-nilly whenever you want. You have to use it in a very controlled way. And he just seems like he was just using it because the dog was moving. Like, what? Like, dude, just tell your dog to sit down. Like, you really need to zap your dog because they're moving around in one spot? Like, that the fact that that guy has a platform and that he gets a platform is crazy because he seems like a jackass. Assuming everything works out for Witch Hat, I think Ichi will still end up being more popular. I think it'll be way more popular. It's Kodansha versus Shonen Jump, which statistically Shonen Jump comes out on the end. Kodansha has its bangers, right? Like Attack on Titan and other series. Fairy Tail, right? That's another one. But statistically, Shonen Jump usually comes out on top. And then Ichi the Witch actually has like fights. Like, it's not really a battle series, but it's got some aspects of a battle shonen. Whereas Witch Hat Atelier really doesn't have any fights. So it's going to lose that mainstream appeal. In that sense, that's more of a different strokes for different folks kind of conversation. Kagurabachi is cinema, but last two chapters were ass. I don't think they were ass. I think the guy needs a break. I think the guy's kind of crashing out effort-wise. Did I watch Clevitas, if I said that right? No, I haven't watched it. I always see it being popular on Crunchyroll. It's in my peripherals. Where is it? They always have it on the front page. It was, what, a spring anime? Am I crazy for saying that? Or was it a summer anime? Oh, it's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's in the top 10 on Crunchyroll. For anybody in chat who's seen it, what's the deal with the Water Magician? That series kind of had like a quick pop, and now it's like already gone. Have I watched Sanda? I have not watched it yet. That's a series I'll probably wait until either the first season ends or the first core ends. I don't know how many episodes it's getting. But yeah, it seems alright. It just doesn't seem like a series that I'm particularly excited about. But it's cool that fans of that series are getting what seems like a cool anime. It was a summer anime, yeah, so it was recent. I'm not crazy. Watch it? Give me the elevator pitch. Like, quick paragraph, 2 to 3 sentences. What's the appeal? Ichi is cool, just nothing feels gripping in premise or themes. Heavily disagree with that, but I can't tell you you're wrong if that's the case for you. Jump is doing Hokuzono dirty. That guy needs a break ASAP. I can't really speak to that. I know manga companies in general are not really that forgiving to their artists. But I mean, I feel like that's probably a Hokuzono problem. Because my guess is that they're kind of putting the pressure on themselves. Because again, I mean, you look at... I think the problem is they're in Weekly Shonen Jump. So when you're a newer artist, it's harder to get breaks. The reason Dawn to Dawn gets more breaks is because it's on Jump Plus. So there isn't as much pressure to stick to a weekly schedule. The problem with a series like Kagurabachi is it's a weekly series in Shonen Jump, so they don't have as much room to take it out of the magazine, because then that means there's going to be less people buying the magazine. So if they print it and nobody buys it, then they just lost money. How many hay barrels are too many? I bought 5 yesterday. I mean, you know, if it's your house, do whatever you want. Black Clover gets 3 chapters at the end of the month. Yeah, Black Clover, man. That's a series I'll never get sick of reading. Kyoshi and Himiten haven't had breaks. I don't know. I can't speak to Himiten, but Kyoshi doesn't really seem like it needs a break. It just seems like it needs better planning. Hokuzono had to do like 3 color pages. Look, again, I can't speak to the pressure thing because I'm not behind the scenes. Obviously, you know, the magazine puts a lot of pressure on you, but I'm also not going to complain that the series got 3 color pages, because that means the magazine actually believes in the series and isn't like leaving it to hang. Did I see the art trade between Hokuzono and Horikoshi? Yeah, I thought it looked dope. It was interesting to see Horikoshi's take on Kagurabachi, because it was a bit out of trend for him, because usually he just like draws in his style. Like he did the Black Clover thing, that was like 80% Horikoshi and like a little bit Black Clover. But the one he just did for Kagurabachi, that was like more Kagurabachi style than Horikoshi style. Like the way he drew it, I could be convinced that that was a Hokuzono piece, because it looks like one of the covers or color pages he would do. Hokuzono's been interviewed for the New Yorker and New York Times, and has been to Anime NYC. Yeah, that New York Times thing is so funny. Because like obviously I don't know who's making the decision in terms of like, is that the New York Times reaching out to them, or is that Shueisha being like, hey, can we get a piece in the New York Times? But that's so funny, because like for a series that has no sign of an anime yet, it's so weird that it's getting a piece in the New York Times. Speaking of Mashima, who's hyped for the next series? Who brought up Mashima? Imagine if every mangaka would have Mashima's drawing speed. Bro, that's the thing, right? Like you talk about mangaka not being able to keep up with pressure. I think Mashima, comparing to Mashima is unfair, because that guy's just a god. His work product and work scheduling are 0 to none. Like nobody can touch him. You look at like Zatchbell, right? Zatchbell, amazing series, fell into issues with pacing. And granted, there were issues behind the scenes, But like, that's a phenomenal artist. So if a mangaka falls into issues with like pacing, keeping up with the schedule, I won't knock them for that, because it happens to the best. That being said, Mashima is the ceiling. I'm not going to say everyone should have his work product output, because clearly he's an outlier, but it's not impossible. People are guessing that Mashima would get poached by Jump. I don't think that would happen in a million years. I would never in my like manga bingo sheet would I ever suspect that. The fact that they did it to who's the Tokyo Revengers guy? I can't remember his name. The fact they did it to him was a huge shocker, but it's not like the craziest thing in the world. That would be like if One Piece ended and Oda went to Kodansha. That would be earth-shattering. That's like the closest analogy I could make. Rumiko is another goat. Rumiko is more like they're more like Stephen King, and like they just pump out so many manga over such a long period of time that everyone else is like, how do you come up with so many stories? The thing with Mashima is just he just gets so much done on a consistent schedule, right? Like I wouldn't really compare Mashima to Stephen King, because Stephen King gets a reasonable amount done given that he does like one book at a time, whereas like Mashima gets like so much shit done all at the same time. Ken Wakoi, yes, that's who I was thinking of. Oda would never. Oda would never, just because, you know, Shueisha's been so good to him, but I'm saying like that would be the equivalent of Mashima going over to Shueisha. It would be like completely out of left field. They would have to offer him like not even a boatload of money. They would have to offer him like a huge, like an impossible amount of money to do that, because like he has no reason to. You get the title Princess of Manga, you up there with the best. I mean, she's up there with the best for a reason. She has a ton of like iconic series. It's just if we're talking purely work output, she doesn't come close to Mashima in terms of like just getting stuff done all at once. There's a separate conversation to be had of like ability to write back to back bangers, right? Because that's a totally different conversation. That output has really less weight in that conversation, because that's just more about like your creative consistency, right? Like to what level are you consistently able to write interesting and popular stories? Is any author's inspiration by Stephen King his works? Is any author inspired by Stephen? Eddie, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Fun fact though, I know Stephen King is quoted saying he was at least in part inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Mashima and Nishi are the top two that come to mind if we're talking about doing several things at once. So Nishi being the writer of Ichi the Witch and also Iruma-kun. Yeah, I think that makes sense. The only reason I would give Mashima the edge in that conversation is because at least Mashima is doing more directly. Nishi is comparable in like work output purely, but in terms of like direct work they're doing, they don't actually draw any of their series. I don't think they probably do some storyboarding if I had to guess. I don't know off the top of my head, but the fact that Mashima draws, he does the storyboard for 100 Years Quest, and he draws and writes all of his other manga, that's crazy to me. We got Andre Partridge. How's everybody doing? What's going on, Andre? How you doing? Pleasure to have you back. Nishi draws Iruma? Am I crazy? I thought there was a different artist for that. Iruma-kun. Yeah, no, those are... Yeah, am I crazy? Is that... Oh, so they draw... Okay, that's a different story then. I thought they didn't draw Iruma-kun. That's a totally different conversation then. Yeah, in that case, they're like neck and neck with Mashima. Yeah, no, that completely changes that conversation. I thought they didn't draw Iruma-kun. I think maybe the spin-offs confused me there. Because can somebody confirm, does Nishi draw the spin-offs, like the Mafia manga? Or at least any of them? Mashima worked on 3 mangas at once, twice. I think at one point he was working on 4 manga. I think towards the end of Eden Zero. Because I think at one point he was working on 100 Years Quest, Eden Zero, what's the one he's doing now? And then Dead Rock, excuse me. And then I think he was doing not Pharmagia, but what was the manga adaptation of the video game or mobile game he did the art for? What was that one called? Can somebody tell me? Mashima. I hope this comes right up. Gate of Nightmares. I think, if I'm not mistaken, for like a month, he was doing Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, Dead Rock, and Gate of Nightmares all at once. Can somebody confirm that? What would I consider some of the best anime to watch for Halloween? That is a great question. I don't know. I would say Berserk, if maybe like Berserk, the old one. Anything, I would say like probably any like 90s anime. I don't know, because like I hesitate to say something like Evangelion because I don't feel like mecha anime is appropriate. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. You know what would be a good Halloween pick is Gonkatsuo. Gonkatsuo. It's not like spooky, but it does technically have a vampire, and it's got the Count of Monte Cristo, and also it's a really good anime. So that's a good one. And also we can't forget Soul Eater, right? I mean, Soul Eater, it's like Halloween, the anime. So I mean, come on, that's a good one. Well, you know what? Since Andre brought it up, I am going to recommend some Halloween specials now that we're in spooky season. But let me address this. He was doing Gate of Nightmare. Yeah, but my question is, was he doing Gate of Nightmare, Eden Zero, Fairy Tail, and Dead Rock all at the same time at one point? Hiro Mashima. Let's do Gate of... Here we go. Let's see. It ran from December 8th, 2021 to August 3rd, 2022. So the question is, does that line up? So December 2021 to August 2022. So it ran for like a half year. Now let's look at Dead Rock. So August 21, no, December 21, August 2022. I think it just misses Dead Rock. Dead Rock, yeah, it missed Dead Rock by a couple of years. Okay, so I was wrong. Damn. But yeah, there has been certain points where he's been working for even 3 manga sounds like an understatement for Hiro Mashima, which is crazy to say. Not to mention he's done a number of like spin-off series. Like he's got Heroes, which was the combination of Fairy Tail, Rave Master, and Eden Zero. He's got the Fairy Tail spin-offs, which some are light novels, some are like actual manga. Yeah, Dead Rock didn't come out until like 2 years later, after Gate of Nightmares. Yeah, true. Shout out to Trenton Art. He's got some good manga videos if you're looking for a good manga channel. For Halloween special recommendations that aren't necessarily anime, the Billy and Mandy special is my favorite. Any of the like late 90s, early 2000s Scooby-Doo specials are good. So Zombie Island, the one with the witch, those are good. Those are really good. Billy and Mandy, Scooby-Doo. Trying to think what else. I think that's it off the top of my head. Treehouse of Horror, if you like The Simpsons. But that's more like casual. For people who read, I think now is a good time of year to read H.P. Lovecraft. Just keep in mind, he is aggressively racist. Monster House is good. I think I know what you're talking about. Monster House, yeah. That was not bad. It's not my personal favorite, but it's good. Thriller Bark in One Piece, not a bad idea. Scooby-Doo Zombie Island is peak. Such a good movie. Animation-wise, it's really good too. You know what's crazy? I want to go out on a limb and say TMS animated that, but I feel like that's wrong. Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. Who animated that? Come on, Wikipedia, don't fail me. Mark Hamill? Mark Hamill was in that movie? Did he do the Swamp Guy? I don't know. It's been a hot minute since I've watched that movie. It would not be wild if TMS animated this, because they were also doing Batman Beyond, at least in part. Let's see. It's gonna kill me. They must have outsourced this. It was also the first of 4 Scooby-Doo direct-to-video films to be animated overseas by Japanese animation studio Mook Animation. So I was right that they outsourced it to a Japanese studio, but I got the studio wrong. I was this close. Maybe it was The Witch's Ghost that I was thinking of. No, also Mook Animation. Yeah, TMS did Batman Beyond. That could be something you watch, Batman. I feel like that's pretty good to watch for Halloween. Coraline's a good pick. Am I a Pats fan? Did I give it away? Yeah, I was very happy to see them beat the Buffalo Bills the other day. I was a very happy camper that day. Spectacular Spider-Man? For comic books, since I brought up Batman, might be a good time to get into Absolute Batman. I haven't checked it out yet because I'm not the biggest comic book reader, but you know, not bad timing. Any speculation on when the new Bleach chapter might come out? Oh, that's another good anime to check out, Bleach. I don't know. Honestly, it's been so long. I don't think Kubo's in any particular rush. I also don't know what their plans are for that series, because that might be something that gets like 1 volume, and that could be something that gets like 3 to 5 volumes. I have no idea. We're also waiting on Burn the Witch, which is another potential Halloween, although it's not really spooky, so I wouldn't recommend that. My pick's Garfield, Scooby-Doo, Superstars 10, The Booze Brothers, Ghoul School, Reluctant Werewolf. Okay, fair. Do you think Blue Box will pass Nisekoi in volumes? Potentially. Spawn is a really good one for Halloween. I might actually watch that soon on since I have HBO Max. Yeah, expect nothing until the Bleach anime is finished. I think that might actually be... I wouldn't be surprised if we get a summer or fall Bleach Hell arc announcement. I don't think that's that crazy. Early Bleach is perfect for Halloween. Yeah, because that's when it was almost like part 4 of JoJo, when it was like small town, very local. Now, Kubo has no incentive to rush. Video games like Resident Evil or Silent Hill. Also, I will recommend the Darksiders games. Darksiders 2. Particularly Darksiders 2. Yeah. And Darkstalkers, which is like Halloween the video game. That's the one with Morgan, the succubus. Also, you know what? That's actually, since I brought that up, there is actually a Darkstalkers anime, which is supposed to be pretty good. If I haven't lost my mind yet, I've brought this up on stream before. I want to say that was actually done by Madhouse. Let's find out together, friends. Darkstalkers anime. Who did it? It was done by Madhouse, so you know what? I take back everything I said. I'm going to give the good people of the Shonen OG community a mission, because I don't think it's going to be the easiest thing to watch, but unless it's on Crunchyroll. But yeah, my big pick for Halloween anime, watch Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge, the 1997 anime by Madhouse. I'm gonna be watching that very soon. But yeah. Damn, I completely forgot about that. I wonder if you can stream it. Stream Darkstalkers anime. Crunchyroll, maybe? It says it's on YouTube, but I would prefer to stream it if possible. You can find the full OVA on Amazon Video as Vampire Hunters Darkstalkers. Oh, Reddit, don't fail me. If you have the money and means, you can still buy the Blu-ray set for 23 bucks. Yeah, but that takes too long. All the episodes were released physically, 2 different PSP UMDs. Okay, well, I don't have a PSP, so why would I do that? This is, I need to find this out. I wonder if... Yeah, so there's Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge, and then it's originally titled Vampire Hunter, which is what they call it in the video games, the animated series. There's... how many episodes? 4 episodes. Damn, bro. It's crazy to me that I'm this excited for, what, like a 20-year-old anime? 07, 17. Almost 30-year-old anime? That's crazy. Well, I know what I'm watching tonight. Which is another crazy thing to say when there's Thursday Night Football on. But for football fans, I think we all know who's going to win tonight. Eddie Raymond, Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Archie's Weird Mysteries. Gargoyles is another good one. The Batman versus Dracula? Eh. Ninjago. I know a lot of people like Ninjago. I need Kubo and Mashima to make a manga together. I don't need them to make a manga together, but I need Kubo specifically to draw fairy tale characters. I feel like Bleach characters in Mashima style would be kind of cursed. Eden Zero Digitalis arc is good. Halloween arc? Eh, maybe. Anyway, we've been talking for a hot minute, one of the longer streams, which is good. This is how long I want streams to be. But that's going to be it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed a more freestyle format for today's stream, which we got a good turnout, so I'm going to assume you all did. Look out for videos this weekend. There will definitely be a Dr. Stone video tomorrow. Shout out to Dr. Stone. Thank you for everybody who's patiently waited for a new Dr. Stone video. There's been a lot of good demand for Dr. Stone following the newest season, newest part. So also they did a really good job with the Suika stuff, so I had to talk about it. So yeah, Dr. Stone video tomorrow, potentially video Saturday, hopefully, if that gets done on time. And then yeah, business as usual. Thanks everybody. Real quick, J-Man animates surprise Demon Slayer movie did so well. No, I think that arc is really good, minus the final bit, so it's not surprising at all. Anyway, thanks everybody, and I will see you Monday for Dawn to Dawn. Peace.